My mom used a stolen key to let my brother's wife into my house. Now my family thinks they can sell it without me knowing. But they're about to learn how wrong they are. My name's Clara, and 6 months ago, I did something no one in my family ever thought I was capable of. I bought a house. And not just any house. A gorgeous 3-bedroom craftsman in the heart of Riverside Heights, complete with a wraparound porch, gleaming hardwood floors, and a kitchen that could have been pulled straight from a design magazine. I dreamed of owning this exact kind of home since I was 12, back when I'd sketch floor plans in my math notebook instead of paying attention to algebra. But here's the twist. I didn't tell anyone, not my parents, not my older brother, Ethan, not even my best friend, Nora. This home was mine, my secret, my sanctuary, my proof that I could build something beautiful without anyone's approval. Growing up as the middle child in the Hartford family, I was used to being invisible. Ethan, the eldest, was the golden boy, the high school quarterback who went on to earn a business degree from Northwestern, married his college sweetheart, Leela, and took over Dad's construction firm. Then came my little sister, Megan, the artistic darling. She's currently working on her MFA in Chicago, fully funded by my parents, of course. And then there was me, just Clara, the quiet one who took community college classes, juggled 2 jobs, and learned early on not to expect help from anyone. Ethan got a down payment gift for his first house. Megan got her tuition covered. I got lectures about being financially responsible. So, after 5 years of grinding as a dental hygienist and running a small weekend photography business, I finally had enough saved up for a down payment and decided to do something that proved my responsibility once and for all. I found the perfect house, got pre-approved, made an offer quietly. The seller, Mrs. Whitmore, was moving to Florida to be closer to her grandkids. She was thrilled that a young woman was buying the home where she'd raised her family. During the walkthrough, she told me stories, backyard birthday parties, Christmas mornings by the fireplace, watching neighborhood kids walk to school from the kitchen window. When she handed me the keys, she smiled and said, "This house needs a family again. It's been waiting for the right person." I spent the next 3 months furnishing it little by little, alone. After work, I'd drive over just to sit on the porch swing and watch the sky turn orange and pink at sunset. I planted tulip bulbs, hung fairy lights in the backyard, adopted a ginger rescue cat named Pumpkin, who instantly understood the serenity of our secret little world. My plan was simple: live quietly for a few months, settle in, and then, at Christmas dinner, casually drop the bomb that I was now a homeowner. I could already picture their stunned faces when they realized their irresponsible daughter had done something monumental, completely on her own. But life doesn't always stick to your plans. One Tuesday morning in late October, everything began to unravel. I was mid-appointment at work, cleaning Mrs. Dorsey's teeth while she ranted about her son-in-law, when a notification popped up on my phone. My security camera app. Yes, I had cameras. I live alone, and after too many late-night true crime binges, I wasn't taking chances. They covered my front door, back door, and driveway. Normally, I never checked them during the day. But something made me open the app, and what I saw made my blood freeze. My mother standing on my front porch, with Leela, my brother's wife, beside her, and another woman I didn't recognize. Mom was digging through her purse, then pulled out something small and shiny. A key. Before I could process what I was seeing, she unlocked my door and waved the other women inside. They had already been there 7 minutes. "Mrs. Dorsey, I'm so sorry," I muttered, forcing my shaking hands to stay steady. "I have a family emergency. We'll need to reschedule." I grabbed my bag, flew to my car, and drove like my life depended on it. How did Mom get a key? How did she even find my house? And what was she doing bringing strangers inside? By the time I pulled into Maple Ridge Drive, they were gone. But the evidence of their intrusion was everywhere. The front door slightly open, cabinets left ajar, furniture moved, even the refrigerator door hung wide. But the final blow was the note on my kitchen counter, written in Mom's neat handwriting. "Clara, honey, I know you're upset, but this is for the best. Leela and Caroline, my realtor friend, think this property has great potential. We'll talk tonight. Love, Mom, P.S. Cute cat." I sat down hard on my couch. The couch I'd saved for months to buy, and felt the weight of it hit me. My mother had broken into my home. She'd found a way to get a key, and she was showing it off to people like she owned it. This wasn't about real estate. It was about control, about every time I'd been dismissed, overshadowed, and told I wasn't capable. I called her immediately. "Oh, good, you got my note," she said cheerfully, as if breaking into my home was a casual errand. "Listen, sweetie, I know you're confused. Confused, I interrupted. Mom, how did you get my key? Well, Mrs. Whitmore's daughter is in my book club. When she mentioned selling to a young Hartford girl, I put two and two together. I've just been so worried about you living in that neighborhood alone. It's not the safest, and I know the mortgage must be tight for you. The neighborhood was one of the nicest in town, but I knew better than to argue logic with her. So you took a spare key and decided to play realtor. Leela and Ethan were thinking of buying a rental property, and Caroline is the best realtor around, she said casually. I hung up. That night my phone wouldn't stop buzzing, first Mom, then Ethan, then Dad with his classic, "Let's just all calm down and talk like adults." I ignored them all and started looking for locksmiths. The next morning, Ethan showed up at my workplace. "Bryn, we need to talk." He used my childhood nickname, the one that used to melt my defenses. Not this time. "I'm working, Ethan." Mom told me what happened. Look, I didn't know she was going to do that. Leela mentioned investment properties, and Mom just, you know how she gets. I glanced up from my patient's chart. Ethan, tall, handsome, confident, looked every bit the success story. "How long have you known about my house?" I asked. He looked guilty. "Mom figured it out a month ago. She said you were being secretive and asked me to talk to you. I told her to stay out of it, but well, clearly she listened. Clara, she's just worried about you." "The neighborhood is fine," I said firmly. "And even if it wasn't, it's my choice. I'm 28, Ethan. I don't need permission," he sighed. "You could have told us we're family." That word family hung between us like an accusation. For Ethan, family meant support, celebration, and constant validation. For Megan, it meant financial handouts and encouragement. For me, it meant criticism, control, and never being trusted to make my own choices. "I'll call Mom tonight," I said finally. "But Ethan, if you, Leela, or anyone else comes to my house again without permission, I'm calling the police." "That's not a threat, it's a promise." His face went red. "Jesus, Bryn, she's our mother, not a criminal. She broke into my house, Ethan. She had a key that wasn't hers." People in the waiting room were staring. I lowered my voice. "I have to get back to work." As he left, he wore that same look he used to give me when we were kids, that mix of pity and irritation, like I was being difficult for no reason. That night, I changed every lock. The next evening, just as I expected, there was furious pounding at my door. "Clara Marie Hartford, open this door right now." I sat calmly on my couch, pumpkin curled in my lap, watching her through the window. "I know you're in there. Your car's in the driveway," she shouted, jabbing the doorbell repeatedly. The locksmith, Caleb from Secure Solutions, had done a perfect job that morning. New deadbolts, fresh door knobs, even a lock for the back gate. When I'd explained it was a family boundary issue, he'd nodded knowingly. "Family drama's the worst," he said. "Good for you for taking control." Now, watching my mother fume on my porch, I felt something strange, a mix of guilt and satisfaction. My phone rang again. "Clara, this is ridiculous," Mom huffed. "Open the door so we can talk like adults." "We can talk through the door," I said evenly. "Or you can call first next time like normal people do. Normal people don't change locks to keep their mothers out. Normal mothers don't break into their daughters' homes." Silence. Then a sigh. I could practically hear her trying to soften her tone. "Honey, I know you're upset. I should have asked first, but I was only worried. That neighborhood, that mortgage, it's too much for someone in your situation." "My situation?" "You're doing great, sweetheart, but this house is ambitious. Ethan and Leela could help if you rented it to them, or if you sold it, you could make a nice profit and get something more appropriate." There it was, that word again, appropriate. My career choice had been appropriate for someone not college material. My old apartment had been appropriate for a single woman. My car had been appropriate for my budget. But this home, this dream I'd built myself, was apparently too much for someone like me. "I'm not selling my house, Mom. But if you just listen to Caroline's advice, I don't care what Caroline thinks, or Ethan, or Leela. This is my home and it's staying mine. Clara Marie, you're being stubborn and unreasonable. You can't just shut your family out when we're trying to help." I walked to the window and looked at her, standing under the porch light. The same look of frustrated disbelief on her face, as always when she realized she couldn't control me. "I'm not shutting my family out," I said quietly. "I'm setting boundaries. If you want to come into my home, you call first. If I say no, you respect that. And you definitely don't bring people here without my permission," I said firmly. "Giving unauthorized tour isn't helping me." "I was only trying to help you see your options," Mom shot back. "I didn't ask for help," I said quietly. There was a long stretch of silence. When she finally spoke again, her voice was tight, trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. "Fine, have it your way. But don't come running to us when this place becomes too much for you. and don't expect us to rescue you when you realize you've made a mistake." Then came the click of disconnection. Through the window, I watched her storm down the walkway, climb into Dad's old Ford truck, and slam the door so hard the frame rattled. She drove off in a cloud of dust, tires screeching like the ending punctuation to our argument. I stood there motionless. I should have felt triumphant, proud of myself for standing firm and setting boundaries. Instead, a heavy, cold loneliness wrapped around me. The next 2 weeks were some of the most isolating of my life. Mom didn't call, Ethan didn't text. Even Megan, who usually stayed out of family drama, sent a short message that cut deeper than it should have. "Heard about the house thing. Maybe just apologize and move on." Apologize. For what? For buying my own home. For wanting privacy. For refusing to let my family treat my life like a community project. To keep my mind busy, I poured myself into making the place truly mine. I painted the guest room a soft lavender, installed floating shelves in the living room, and finally hung the photo gallery I'd been planning for months. Pumpkin supervised from his sunny perch by the kitchen window, his tail flicking lazily as if approving every step. But even as the walls brightened and the house grew warmer, something inside me still felt hollow. I had the independence I'd always wanted, the freedom, the peace, the right to make my own choices. But the silence that came with it was louder than I'd expected. One evening, Nora showed up with takeout from Luigi's and a bottle of wine, knocking on my door like she already knew I wouldn't answer texts. "Okay, spill," she said, sitting cross-legged on the floor with her plate of chicken parmesan. "Word on the street is you bought a house and started World War III with the Hartfords. As your best friend, I'm personally offended that I had to find out from my hairdresser, whose cousin works at the title office." I couldn't help but laugh. Nora had been my person since 7th grade, when we bonded over cafeteria pizza that tasted like cardboard. And maybe that's why I'd avoided telling her. She could see straight through me. "I wasn't trying to hurt anyone," I said, realizing how defensive I sounded. "I just wanted something that was mine, something nobody could criticize or try to improve." Nora raised an eyebrow. "And instead of enjoying this gorgeous house, which, by the way, I'm still mad you didn't show me sooner, you're sitting here eating sad sandwiches and brooding like a tragic Victorian heroine." She wasn't wrong. I'd been surviving on sad sandwiches. "They don't respect me," I admitted softly. "They never have. Mom literally got a key to my house from someone else's daughter and treated it like a show home. Ethan thinks it's perfectly okay to discuss my finances behind my back. And Dad, he just tells me to be the bigger person." Nora took a sip of wine. "So, what's your plan? Cut them off forever?" I stared into my glass, the light from my new lamp flickering across the surface. "I don't know." 3 days later, everything shifted again. When I walked out of work that Friday, I noticed Ethan's Chevy Silverado parked by the curb, but it wasn't Ethan behind the wheel. It was Leela. As I reached my car, she rolled down the window, her face unusually serious. "Can we talk?" she asked. Leela and I had always been cordial but distant. She was everything I wasn't, effortlessly social, polished, always in control. Our conversations never went beyond polite small talk at family gatherings. "If this is about the house," I started. "It is," she interrupted. "But not the way you think." She motioned to the passenger seat. "Please, 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I climbed in. Leela turned toward me, her hands clasped tightly. "I owe you an apology," she began. "A big one." That was the last thing I expected. "Ethan doesn't know I'm here," she continued. "He'd be furious if he found out, but I can't keep pretending I don't know what really happened." "What do you mean?" I asked. She drew a deep breath. "Your mom didn't just randomly show me your house. I asked her to." My stomach dropped. "What? Not like that," she said quickly. "God, I'm explaining this all wrong." She took a shaky breath. "Ethan and I are having money problems. His dad's company is struggling more than anyone wants to admit. We've fallen behind on our mortgage. And Ethan's too proud to tell your parents how bad it really is." I blinked, trying to absorb her words. Ethan, the golden boy, the one who always had it all together, was falling apart behind the scenes. "When your mom mentioned that you'd bought a house, and I swear, Clara, I had no idea you were keeping it private," I panicked. "I thought maybe you'd be willing to rent a room or let us house sit sometimes. I wasn't trying to take your home, I was just desperate." Pieces of the puzzle started clicking together, forming an uncomfortable picture. "So you asked Mom to look into it," I said slowly. "She said she'd talk to you," Leela admitted, eyes downcast. "I had no clue she was going to break in with a realtor. When Ethan told me, I felt sick. This whole thing, it's my fault." We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything unsaid between us. "Why didn't Ethan just come to me?" I finally asked. Leela gave a small, broken laugh. "Pride. He's supposed to be the one with everything figured out. Asking his little sister for help would have killed him." "Little sister," I repeated softly. Even now, that's what I was to them, the kid who wasn't supposed to outgrow their expectations. "I'm not little anymore," I said quietly. Leela smiled sadly. "No, you're not. You've built something amazing here, Clara. You should be proud of yourself." It was the first time anyone in my family had said that out loud. That weekend, I made a choice that even surprised me. I invited them all over. Mom, Dad, Ethan, Leela, and Megan, who drove in from Chicago. Saturday morning, I sent a group text. "Family dinner, my place, Sunday at 6. Dress casual, I'm cooking." Their replies were a mix of shock, emojis, and hesitation. Mom called twice, I let it ring. I had things to prepare. Sunday evening, I watched from my kitchen window as their cars filled my driveway. Mom stepped out of Dad's truck looking tense. Ethan and Leela followed from the Silverado. She carried a bottle of wine. Megan's old Subaru pulled up last, her curls tied in a messy bun. Before they could knock, I opened the door. "Welcome to my home," I said softly, stepping aside. This time I gave the tour. I walked them through each room, describing my design choices, pointing out the original woodwork, and introducing them to Pumpkin, who, of course, charmed everyone. For the first time, I saw genuine wonder in their faces. Dad traced his fingers along the mantel, his builder's eye catching the craftsmanship. "Clara, this is incredible." "It's beautiful," Megan said. "I can't believe you did all this yourself." Over dinner, homemade lasagna, garlic bread, salad from my little backyard garden, I told them everything. How I'd saved for years, how I'd researched neighborhoods and mortgages, how I'd fallen in love with this house the moment I saw the listing. Mom's voice softened. "But why didn't you tell us? We could have helped." "Because I needed to do it myself," I said simply. "Every choice I've ever made, someone in this family had an opinion about. I wanted one thing that was completely mine." Ethan shifted awkwardly. "We don't do that," he muttered. "Really?" I said, looking around. "When I started my photography business, you called it a cute hobby. Dad, when I got promoted, you said it was good experience until I found a real career. Mom, when I bought my car, you spent an hour explaining why I should have picked something more practical." Silence fell. "I love you all," I said, voice steady, "but I needed to prove mostly to myself that I could make good choices without permission. And I did. This house is my proof, and I'm proud of it." Leela spoke up, voice trembling slightly. "I owe you an apology, too. About the whole rental thing, I should have come to you directly." Ethan turned to her, clearly blindsided. "Money problems?" I asked gently. His jaw clenched, but Leela nodded. "The construction business has slowed down. We're hanging on, but it's been rough." For the first time, I really looked at my brother. The man who'd always seemed untouchable looked tired, shoulders tight, eyes lined with worry. "If you need help," I began, but he cut me off instinctively. "We don't." He stopped himself mid-sentence and sighed. "Old habits." "If you need help," I repeated calmly, "ask me, directly. And whatever answer I give, respect it. Deal?" He nodded, a little stunned. Then I turned to Mom. "I'm not angry that you wanted to help," I said. "I'm angry that you didn't trust me to know what I needed. Taking a key that wasn't yours, walking strangers through my home, planning things behind my back, that's not protection. That's control." Tears welled in her eyes. "I just worry about you, Clara. You've always been so independent, I didn't want you to feel alone." "I appreciate that you care," I said softly, "but I need you to trust that I can take care of myself. Even if I mess up, they'll be my mistakes to learn from." We talked for hours, laughter breaking through tears, years of misunderstandings finally unraveling. It wasn't perfect. There were sharp words, emotional pauses, and moments I thought someone might leave. But for the first time in years, it felt real. When they finally said goodnight, Mom hugged me tightly at the door. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "I should have said that a long time ago." As I watched their taillights disappear down Maple Ridge Drive, something inside me shifted. The loneliness that had been sitting in my chest slowly melted into warmth. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "Thanks for dinner. The house is amazing. You did good, sis." I smiled, the kind of smile that comes when peace finally feels earned. That night, for the first time in months, I went to bed feeling like I belonged, not just in my house, but in my family. Only now it was on my own terms. And sometimes that makes all the difference in the world. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment, hit subscribe, follow for more, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next one.